Let's do it.
Recording in progress.
So good evening and welcome to this January 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Bluff Village Board of Trustees. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole?
Here.
Trustee Fisher?
Here.
Trustee Freed?
Here.
Trustee Hatch?
Here.
Trustee Rappin is absent. Trustee Ryder?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is the consideration of the minutes of a January 8, 2024 regular village board meeting. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved. Second.
Are there any changes? Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll. It's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Next would be our non-agenda items and visitors. The village president and board of trustees allocate 15 minutes during this item for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the village board of trustees on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each person addressing the village board of trustees is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. And again, I do not see anybody in this room for addressing the board. Do we have anybody online?
If anybody participating in this call on Zoom wants to be heard under this topic, please raise your hand. You'll be recognized. No one has raised their hand?
Thank you. Moving forward with item number 5, the village board sets the order of the meeting. The village president and board of trustees will entertain requests from anyone present on the order of business to be conducted during the village board meeting. So I understand that item 11 and 12 should be considered first, reasons of children at home. Are there any objections? Thank you. So moving on to item 11. And item 11 is an ordinance designating the building located at 331 East Witchwood Lane as a Lake Bluff historic landmark. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. On October 23rd, 2023, the village received an application to designate the building located at 331 East Witchwood Lane as a historic landmark. The application was submitted by the property owners, Andrew and Carrie Piankowski. According to the application, this single-family residence, Tudor revival style, was, I don't even know how to say that in English. I'm sorry, people, I know that in French. So, was originally constructed in 1929 by noted architect L.G. Hallberg, who designed commercial, industrial, and residential buildings in the Chicago area. This home was constructed for Frank A. Ross, an executive with the Stuart Warner Company as a manufacturer of auto parts. The home at 331 East Witchwood Lane contains characteristic features of Tudor Revival style architecture, including its half timbering with polychrome brick infill, massive brick chimney in the front, and multi-light casement windows. The building was one of 24 previously identified by the HPC as representing the highest priorities for preservation in the village by Resolution 2021-HPC-01. At its December 13, 2023 regular meeting, the HPC conducted a public hearing and unanimously recommended that the village board designate the building as a landmark for the reasons set forth in the attached draft ordinance. If approved, this would be the village 26th active landmark and 33rd in total, The village board approved first reading of the ordinance at its January 8th meeting. Are there any questions from the board? And if so, this is a roll call vote. Clerk?
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Freed.
Aye.
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Vote passes.
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely pleased to give you this plate.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We need to recreate the.
Recreate them.
Thank you. Next item would be item 12, that is an ordinance designating the building located at 125 East Center Avenue as a Lake Bluff Historic Landmark. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. On November 6, 2023, the village received an application to designate the James B. and Mary Marilla Hobbs House, located at 125 East Center Avenue, as a historic landmark. This application was submitted by the property owners, James and Krista Hagel. According to the application, this Queen Anne-style building was originally constructed in 1896 for James B. and Mary Marilla Hobbs. James and his wife Mary significantly contributed to the development of a village in the state of Illinois through real estate developments, and their founding and support of the Lake Bluff Camp Meeting Association, the Camp Meeting Campground, and the Methodist Deaconess Orphanage. In 1882, James B. Hobbs became president of the LBCMA and served until the association disbanded in the 1890s. James' successful business ventures led him to membership and the presidency of the Chicago Board of Trade. The couple's influence regarding issues of temperance and prohibition was felt statewide, propelling James to run for governor for the state of Illinois and Mary to the vice presidency of the Women's Christian Temperance Union. 125 East Center Avenue exemplifies the Queen Anne style through its irregular footprint, asymmetrical facade, large wrap-around front porch with a balustrade and spindle work that holds a simple front entry, a complex roofline with multiple gables and a jerking head, two tall brick chimneys, and fish scale siding on the front facade. While the porch has been replaced, the current porch is the same in size and scale to the porch shown on a historic house from the 1920s with similar balustrade and spindle work. At its December 13, 2023 regular meeting, the HPC conducted a public hearing and unanimously recommended that the village board designate the building as a landmark for the reasons set forth in the attached draft ordinance. If approved, this would be the village 27th active landmark and 34th in total. The village board approved first reading of the ordinance at its January 8th meeting. Again, are there any questions of the board? And so it is a roll call vote. Clerk?
Trustee Freed.
Aye.
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
The vote passes.
Thank you so much. And again, James, I'm extremely pleased on Village of Lake Bluff to give you a piece for your house. Congratulations.
No pressure, Jim, maybe, but you probably have a future governor in your brood, do you not?
We'll put that on record.
Temperance movement?
Yeah, no.
No.
Ironically, no.
And so resuming the normal order of business, that would be item number 6, the village finance report, and 6A, the warrants report for January 8th to January 22nd, 2024, and December 2023 payroll expenditures. Is there a motion to approve the warrants report?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Thank you. And this is and as a summary of background and reason for request, this is for expenditure of village funds for payments of invoices in the amount of $684,470.41 for January 9 to January 22nd, 2024, and expenditure of village funds for payment of payrolls in the amount of $433,292.75 for December 2023, for a total expenditures of $1,117,763.16. Are there any questions on this report?
Mr. Brett, if I may, really quick.
Absolutely.
Bettina's not here this evening, so if there are questions, I'm happy to take them. I did have a conversation earlier today with the Finance Committee Chair, Trustee Ryder, and she had 2 questions in the warrant. There were 2 payments in there that you would only see once a year. One is our payment to DK Organics. DK is, they essentially run the yard waste recycling yard at our Public Works facility. We also have a facility just up the road. The village has approved that contract. We've had a long-time relationship with DK Organics. It's a very fortunate relationship for the village in that it keeps our waste and recycling and composting fees down because Groot only has to takes it right here in town when they collect it. So that's a bonus, reduces our cost for trucking that waste and recyclables. Additionally, the product that's in that agreement with DK, they produce compost material and wood chips that we use as a village on our public works jobs, as well as we offer them to residents. And the value of those materials actually exceeds the contract. I hate to say that out loud, but the market value of that is it's a great relationship, but it is symbiotic in that they take advantage of our materials, raw materials, and so it works out well for both of us. So it's been a long-standing relationship, but I wanted to point that out. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Mrs. Ryder. And then the second one was the village's annual payment to IRMA. That's our risk management agency. As you can see, that's broken out by department. But it is a one-time fee. It's just under $250,000. IRMA, I think it was on the agenda in January, the first meeting in January, when they named Bettina as the alternate. But that's it's a pool, a risk pool for municipalities and other special purpose districts. It helps defray costs for the village and pool our risk with other very similar agencies that provide similar services.
And that's what we used for police squad cars that were damaged about 2 months ago, right?
Yeah, there's our insurer, right?
Yep, that's our insurance.
Yep, so property damage, yep.
Yes, they do a lot of things for us too, such as risk management, also steering committees, so we help, learn more about risk and take advantage of pooling prices with a lot of things like discount for CLIA and some of those other things that come through IRMA. So it's a
Yeah, they have lots of programs that they underwrite, but it's a member-driven governed organization.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But happy to answer any other questions if there are any about anything else on the warrant.
I did review the report and I didn't have questions. So it is a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Rappin is absent tonight, sorry. Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Freed.
Aye.
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
You can read yourself there? Or I can do it. Yeah.
And the vote passes.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Next on our item is item 6B. Drew, would you like to take that one?
Sure, this is the monthly financial report. Hopefully, you ever had a chance to review it. The good news is sales tax continues to grow. I'm looking at it, kind of a sneak preview of my Thursday presentation to the chamber. I mean, this is a continuous gain over the last decade. I'm sorry, last 10 years, which is a decade, sorry. Those of you playing at home, last time I checked. So the growth has been amazing. Most of that is attached to auto sales, but Target is coming through strong, and I point that out specifically because next year our sales tax sharing agreement with Target will expire. So that's a 10-year term. It will conclude in 2025, and that will free up revenues. The way that was set up, the village put that in place years ago and designed it around, for those of you who remember, it used to be a Chevrolet dealership there, and the village averaged about $150,000 a year in receipts, sales tax receipts from that property. So the village said, we always want to be better off than we were. So the village said the first $250,000 that come out of the Target, the village would capture those dollars. And then the next $250,000, the village would share with Target, and anything above that, we would share 50-50. So the 10-year term of that sales tax rebate agreement is linked to if we ever get to where we've paid them $4.2 million and the agreement would expire, or 10 years, the earlier of the two numbers. So we're not going to reach that 4.2, but we're going to reach the 10-year term here very soon. So the village will get to put that in the mix to pay for a lot of competing capital needs. So that's that on sales tax, and again, the revenues in general are up when you take out the ARPA funds from last year, the one-time funds. So general growth in revenue is great, and then expenses are pretty much on track. So,
Thank you. Any questions to Drew? To Bettina, basically. And it is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Moving forward to our village administrator's report.
I don't have a report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I do not see questions. And followed by our village attorney's report.
No further report.
Thank you. And I will follow trend with item 9. I think that I will make comments for the library item, but I do not have comments to make in these sections. Next item would be item 10, the acceptance of a correspondence. Please note that all correspondence was delivered to the Village Board of Trustees in the informational report on January 5th and January 12th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve a correspondence?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. It's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Next item, as we have already addressed 11 and 12, would be item 13, a resolution authorizing the execution of a construction contract with the Flolo Corporation of West Chicago, Illinois, and waiver of competitive bids for the rebuilding of a Tangley Oaks sanitary lift station pump number 3. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. In addition to 30 miles of sanitary sewer through the village maintains 7 sanitary lift stations located in areas east of Green Bay Road. The Tangley Oak sanitary lift station was constructed in the early 1980s and collect sanitary sewage from the homes in the Tangley Oaks and Campbell Court subdivisions. The 3 pumps housed in the lift station pump the sewage into the North Shore Water Reclamation District pipe on the south side of West Scranton Avenue. From there, the sewage travels through the sanitary district system to their treatment plant located in Highland Park. The village asked for and received a quote from the Flolo Corporation to remove a pump from the lift station, examine the existing components, and recommend a schedule of repairs. While the cost of the initial work is $9,750, the total cost of repairs is expected to be around $29,710, based on the proposal submitted on December 28, 2023. The village staff believes it is in the best interest of the village to waive the competitive bidding process and hire the Flolo Corporation to remove, examine, and complete village engineer-approved repairs. The village fiscal year 2024 budget includes $300,000 for sanitary system improvements. The village engineer is recommending the waiver of competitive bidding, and that the village board authorized work to be contracted with the Flolo Corporation for an amount not to exceed $29,710.
May I add, there's one thing I wish we would have had in the cover memo based off all the questions I had earlier is why were we waiving competitive bids for this particular project? And Jeff, you want to come up and talk about that?
So there are 3 pumps at this pump station. 2 years ago, we had another one that was rebuilt by Flolo. We waived bidding. I think that contract was about $45,000. In that case, that pump hadn't been rebuilt in more than 2 decades, so it's more of a scheduled service. We've gotten burned in the past trying to write a spec of exactly how to rebuild a pump, and then they did what we said, we put it back in, and it didn't work. So we changed, so we're gonna send it to Flolo, who is, a trusted company that we work with quite a bit, take it apart, see what's wrong with it, what you recommend, and then rebuild it. That was 2 years ago. This one is a little different because this pump wasn't working right. This is more like, your car's engine sounded funny, so you take it to a mechanic you trust. They take it apart, they tell you what they think is wrong with it. In this case, you're $10,000 into it, have them come out, pick it up from our lift station, bring it to their shop, and take it apart and bring it back. So it's hard then to pay that $10,000 and then try to get multiple quotes on fixing it, then you're gonna start the $10,000 over again. Of our 7 lift stations, 4 are very small. They have pumps that our guys can lift out on a hoist by themselves. The 3, one at West Blodgett, West Center, and Tangley, have large pumps that we need to have somebody come in and remove. So that's kind of what this is. It's just more of it broke. And, there are some parts that maybe aren't broken right now, but while they have it all apart and we're $10,000 into it, you might as well, if something's worn, something doesn't look quite right, just replace it. And hopefully you get 20 more years out of it.
And so the $9,000 is part of the $29,000, that would be a
Yes.
credit toward it. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. It is a roll call vote. Clerk, please.
Trustee Cole?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Freed?
Aye.
Trustee Hatch?
Aye.
Trustee Ryder?
Aye.
Vote carries.
Thank you. Next item is item 14, a resolution approving and authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Lake Bluff and the Lake Bluff Public Library Board of Trustees. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Yes, so moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. Late last year, it was determined that the Village of Lake Bluff has not provided the Lake Bluff Library its proportionate share of personal property replacement taxes, also known as PPRT, collected by the state of Illinois in accordance with Illinois laws, specifically 30 ILCS 115/12. PPRT are revenues collected by the state of Illinois and paid to local governments to replace money that was lost by local governments when their powers to impose personal property taxes on corporation, partnership, and other business entities was abolished. As a matter of law, the Lake Bluff Library is owned 4% of the PPRT monies received by the village for the past 5 years, for a total of $22,000 and $354, and prospectively. On January 8, 2024, the village board met as a committee of the whole to discuss the Lake Bluff Library's request for payment of PPRT dating back to 1977 with compounded interest. After hearing a report by Library Board President Bonnie Shaw regarding the state of the library's finance, operations, and building, the village board reached a consensus to pay the library $84,474 and revisit the village ongoing financial support of the library in the near future. The attached agreement provides for the immediate catch-up on payments to the library and the release of any future claim against the village related to the catch-up payment. It is anticipated that the library will consider the same agreement at their Thursday, January 18, 2024 meeting. And I'm actually confused about that date.
Did they?
They did not. They were actually supposed to meet originally on Tuesday of last week.
Correct.
They had to close the library because the HVAC was having issues. They had to do the same again on Thursday, so they haven't met yet.
Okay.
So they're planning on meeting this week.
And that would be when?
I'm not for certain.
I might be there. So are there any questions on the board about this item?
I just have a quick question. The date of 1977, for some reason, I thought I remembered it being amended to 1979. Was that a discrepancy that only I am remembering? It looks like, okay, it's 1977. For some reason, I thought.
I think that was their request, was for 1970.
Okay,
But
there
the
we go. I
village-
was
But the
like-
village didn't actually receive PPRT until 1980.
Right.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
There were a lot of uncertainty about the amounts, the dates, and everything else. So Drew got to clarify all that maybe a couple weeks ago.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Are there any other questions on the board? And it is a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Freed?
Aye.
Trustee Hatch?
Aye.
Trustee Ryder?
Aye.
Trustee Cole?
Aye.
Vote carries.
Thank you. I'd like to continue on this item by making a declaration, if it is okay with the board. On behalf of the village, I would like to thank the library board for working with us to resolve this PPRT matter. I also want to take a moment to share with all of you that Bonnie's presentation to the village board on Monday, January 8th, 2024 was illuminating to me. This PPRT matter has opened our eyes to issues of significant magnitude at this library, and that past practices and policies may not hold the answers to our future. The library was created in 1924 by ordinance in the village of Lake Bluff, and while today having its own board, budget, and tax levy, the library is still considered a component unit of the village of Lake Bluff. We looked into some of the concerns cited by Bonnie, and we're still trying to understand all of them. Some of his comments are striking to me. I'm not happy to hear them. We cannot verify whether it is legal to hold capital reserve for the library or building a capital fund. We know of safety issues for patrons. We also know of safety alarms with their HVAC systems. And last week, they were closed for about a week, as a parenthesis. ADA issues are still very much present today for their bathrooms. To underscore this, I think you all know or should know that the village is paying for, among other items, the library annual comprehensive liability, public official liability, property, boiler and machinery, crime and fidelity set of insurance policies. So as outlined by René, and quoting, René is the executive director of the library board and René look forward to working with village board on ideas, including, but not limited to, 1, developing a separate IGA outlining village and library financial and organizational relationship. Number 2, planning incorporation for library's capital need. Number 3, creating a schedule of annual state of the library presentations from the library for the village administrators and village board about the library's impact to the Lake Bluff community. Now to us, it is more than ideals, as my fellow board of trustees and I stated at our committee of the whole meeting. These items must be pursued with a sense of urgency. In my experience, it is not wise and fiscally responsible to throw money at problems without a clear plan. This committee has been successful not by accident, but rather by careful planning. And saying this, I've been on their website looking for a strategic plan. I was not able to find such information. Bonnie's report has demonstrated to all of us that past and current practices will not get us where we need to be, both for library patrons, staff, and facilities, especially considering HVAC issues in the last few days. So in addition to the items outlined by René, I also suggest a one-year plan, tactical goals for facility issues, and a 3-year plan, strategic goals for the direction of the library. And thank you very much for helping the library for this time. Are there any comments to my comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on forward. Item 15, a resolution authorizing the execution of construction contract for the Village of Lake Bluff's Glen Avenue pedestrian bridge demolition and abutment project. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved?
A second?
Second.
Thank you. At 10 a.m. on Tuesday, January 16, 2024, the Village of Lake Bluff opened bids for the Glen Avenue pedestrian bridge demolition and abutment project. 4 bids were received, with the lowest responsive bid of $264,118 submitted by Foundation Mechanics LLC of Chicago, Illinois. The project includes the removal of the existing bridge and preparing the site for the installation of a new bridge to be completed by the bridge manufacturer, Bridge Brothers, Inc., in April of 2024. The total cost of the project is estimated at $735. This includes the proposed contract with Foundation Mechanics, a previously approved contract with Bridge Brothers, and a landscaping contract that is anticipated to be awarded in February. In 2022, the village entered into an agreement with a national philanthropic trust to accept an anonymous donation in the sum of $406,000 to help fund the project. The remaining $329,000 is to be funded by the village. There are adequate funds in the village general fund to complete the project in the current fiscal year. Village recommends that the village board awards the contract to Foundation Mechanics LLC in the amount of $264,118. Any questions on the board?
Do we have any experience with this particular contractor?
Not ourselves, our consultant has worked with them, and there's a referral, there's a company named V3 that's worked for us in the past, and they highly recommended Foundation Mechanics because they work with them.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any more questions on the board?
I would point out, we were both surprised at least one line item in the bid, the demolition number. I point that out, just shows how unpredictable the market still is. The demolition component, our own engineer's estimate, not Jeff, our consulting engineer, had it at, how much, Jeff? 10,000?
Well, we had figured
I'm sorry,
40, or he had 20. but
About 20,000. Jeff, for budgeting purposes, assumed 40. It was 100,000. So we talked about it as a way that Public Works can do it. I was trying to find a way that we can do this in-house, but Jeff assured me OSHA would not like that.
Have a work day where everybody comes from
Village work day.
back to
But it
back.
was, again, it's just shocking.
Your hammer, sledgehammer.
So,
Jake is not here. We should say she do it.
Everybody gets a torch.
so anyway, I guess we were doing that, talking about it at the same time we were working on the village's capital plan, and it was just unnerving when you start thinking about some of these big projects that the village is looking out in the future that are magnitudes larger in scale and cost, and it's unnerving, so.
Including the 2 bridges on Green Bay.
Green Bay Road, well, we feel better about that. We talked a lot about that project, because
Those are larger projects. There's more comparable projects out there that we can look at, and they are multi-million-dollar contracts, tend to bring better competition.
Cool. Thank you. Any more for Jeff and Drew? It is a roll call. Clerk, please call for roll.
Trustee Freed.
Aye.
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Thank you, and thank you, Jeff. Next item is item 16, a resolution authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Baxter and Woodman, Inc. for Phase 1 design engineering for the Green Bay Road pedestrian bridge project. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. In April of 2022, State Senator Julie Morrison secured a $1,250,000 grant from the state of Illinois to the village of Lake Bluff for costs associated with constructing a pedestrian bridge on Green Bay Road over the Canadian Railroad, National Railroad track at the northern border of the village. The existing road bridge is too narrow to provide a safe, dedicated pedestrian path that is separated from vehicular traffic. As presented conceived, the project will involve building a separate pedestrian bridge west of a road bridge and include connection to the pathway systems in Lake Bluff and North Chicago. The total project is estimated to cost $3 million. In 2022, the village applied for an additional grant to pay the entire cost of the project. The application was unsuccessful, in part due to the lack of a completed Phase 1 engineering study. To prepare for the next round of grant funding in the fall of 2024, the village requested a proposal from Baxter and Woodman, Inc. to complete the Phase 1 study. Baxter and Woodman submitted a proposal to complete the work for a fee not to exceed $236,214. Village staff confirmed with the Illinois Office of Grant Management that the existing $1,250,000 grant will reimburse the village for 100% of the cost of a Phase 1 study prior to finalizing the grant agreements. The village fiscal year 2024 budget includes $100,000 for the budget, which will be adequate for the amount of work that will be completed prior to the end of a fiscal year. The proposed fiscal year 2025 budget will include the remaining funding for the project. Reading this earlier on this morning, I had a question about, so we need to find about $1,750. So do we have already possibility of grants that are lined up to cover for this amount?
For what amount was that?
For the remainder to the $3 million, the difference.
Oh. So when we applied for an ITAP grant a year and a half ago, one of the reasons why we didn't get it, like it says here, is because we didn't have the engineering study done. That grant should cover all of the remaining costs of the project, so it should be a zero cost to the village. Specifically, they talked about coordination with the railroad, because they were concerned that if we didn't have the study done, we wouldn't be able to do the project within the 4-year window of the grant award. So this should make them more comfortable that we'll be able to complete the project in the window for this next cycle of grant. And I think we just missed last time, so we feel pretty good about our application this fall to cover the rest of the project. This is an 80-20, this is 100% funded through these two grants if we get the second grant.
And it doesn't even require the matching funds. So, and I think we were shocked we didn't get it the first time. It was other than the hang up with the railroad. I think that most agencies, especially the state, it's the ITEP is an IDOT grant program, and they were just nervous because they know what it is like to work with railroads. It takes a long time.
And this bridge is at the northern border of our village, so basically bordering North Chicago and the military base. Is there any possibility of us getting monies also from these two entities?
The plan right now is to get all of the money from the state. That's what, Senator Morrison got us the first chunk. At that point, we had no idea how much it was going to cost. This $3 million project also includes the better part of a mile of pathway in North Chicago to get up to Highway 137 to make it fully connect our trail system, as far north as we could go. But as we discovered the cost was higher than Senator's grant, that's when we started to go for the ITEP grant. But again, that should cover all of the project. There should be no need for funds from other communities.
Thank you. And I'd like to also underline that I used to work north north of a bridge many, many years ago, and I used to walk from that location, the medical school north of us, to the train station at night when there would be snow, and crossing that bridge at night was not pleasant. So I'm actually very grateful that for the people living around there or for the students in that medical school to have a bridge in the near future. At some point, it was a shallow stop, and you have to walk, and that's basically what happened.
Yeah, and then this originated from a mother with a child walking across that bridge to school,
Correct.
contacting the senator.
Yeah.
That's what this-
Correct. No, and it's a very, very good thing for the three communities, Lake Bluff, North Chicago, and the military base. I see people walking, and this is not safe, so thank you.
One question, approximately when do we think this would actually happen?
Probably 2026 with every other.
With everything else.
With everything else, we'll just shut down Green Bay.
And 176, and 41, 176, and.
Work from
Yeah.
home.
All right, yeah, thanks.
Great point, thank you. Any more questions to Jeff? It is roll call. Clerk?
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Freed.
Aye.
The vote carries.
Thank you so much. The motion carries. Next is our trustees' report. Do any trustees wish to make a report tonight? And I do understand that, thank you, I do understand tonight we do not have an executive session. And so could I please have next a motion to adjourn?
So, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.